Well, hey, Angel fans, and welcome back to Halo Territory. I am Mike DiGiovanna, former LA Times baseball writer and host of the show, joined by my regular co-host Mark Trumbo, the former Angel slugger, and Sam Blum of The Athletic, one of our regular HT contributors. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll get right to the big news over the weekend. Perry Minasian fired as general manager. John Mozeliak, got to pronounce that right, hired as interim GM, the former St. Louis Cardinals president of baseball operations, and Molly Jolly, the new team president, appears to have a huge hand in these moves. Let's just start with a general reaction, guys. Sam, what was your reaction when you heard this?
Well, I was a little shocked. I mean, it shouldn't be shocking, right? I mean, this is a GM who's not succeeded in any capacity, right? It shouldn't shock you any, but I mean, just the Angels making this move was the right move. I think you're heading into the draft, you're heading into the trade deadline. These are, two areas where I think Perry's done quite poorly. So and I give credit to Molly Jolly. I know that's the narrative the Angels are selling right now is that this was completely her decision and her move, and that John Mozeliak has not even had a conversation with Artie Moreno. It's hard to believe. I'll take them at their word for it for now. I can't imagine that Artie wouldn't have a significant hand in these types of decisions, but this was the right call. Perry wasn't not a good general manager. Didn't I don't think had a great grasp of the organization, the people that worked in it. Don't think the communication was strong. Don't think the obviously the results on the field weren't good. The signings, the DFAs, the everything. It wasn't working out. The record was 392 and 500. So I don't need to kind of defend my point there. That kind of does it for me. And I know everyone kind of says, "Oh, you got a tough break. It was, Artie's this, that, and the other. He's the guy that makes his life so hard." I think two things can be true. That is true, right? But what's also true is the areas where I think Perry could have done well, he didn't. And you saw it time and again. And I think they could have been a better team over these last 5.5 years, with or without Artie. But with Perry, it just wasn't meant to be, and I don't think it was getting any better anytime soon. So they hired someone who, in my opinion, sounds like a real baseball person, someone who's had success. I'll reserve kind of judgment on the overall outcome until we kind of see a streamlined, strategy here. But I was impressed by his press conference because it just felt like for the first time in forever that I had heard somebody with the Angels that didn't sound like they were terrified of, Artie or getting in trouble. It just kind of like said what they were thinking and were being relatively honest to some extent. And it didn't feel like someone who was stepping on eggshells with every single word. And what does that translate to? We'll find out. But overall, a positive first day. I felt like.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked by the move. I honestly I thought Perry should have been fired after 2024. Could have easily been fired after 2025. The timing of it to me was a little surprising in that we're a little more than 2 weeks away from the draft. Angels have the 12th overall pick, I believe. Pretty big deal. And 5 weeks now ahead of the trade deadline. I think this is going to pose some serious challenges for, well, let's just call him Mo, because his last name's tough to remember exactly how to pronounce it. Is he going to have enough time to do a thorough enough analysis of this farm system, of the major league team to one, you know, apparently he's not going to have much input on the draft. And I think that's great. The scouting director should do the draft. But is he going to have enough time to figure out whether this team should sell some of its assets before the trade deadline and look to start a serious rebuilding process, which just has not happened ever? Uh, I don't know. 5 weeks. It's going to be a cram course for him. But this is an established guy. He was 18 years as head of baseball operations for the Cardinals, who enjoyed a ton of success, helped rebuild that farm system, proven track record. Maybe if anybody can do it, maybe this is the guy to do it. What do you think, Mark?
He's got the resume, he's got the experience. I think why I enjoyed listening to him, that's a baseball man talking. That's somebody who's done it for a long time. He's had success and he knows what it looks like. He knows what a good ball player, just he doesn't need to do a ton of research to know what talent is or is not. I think in the recent years, especially, keep hearing or heard the narrative that it's about the makeup, it's about the character. And I'm really wondering, that must have been what got him the job in the first place, talking about Perry. He beat out some very qualified other candidates when I was looking at who else at the time was interested in the job. Justin Hollander of the Mariners, Jason McLeod, going to take a stab at that, and Emil Sidwai. Two tough names there, but those guys are both very highly esteemed, and all three of them. And I know Justin Hollander from my time with the Angels. So whatever Perry said initially to get hired, he must have really made an impression. I think a lot of it had to do with his scouting background, his connections. We've heard that he's very connected. We know this because he came up in the clubhouse, likes to talk about his days doing that. The big takeaway for me is the combative nature to the press, adversarial. I don't think he ever really conveyed to the fans what he was attempting to do. The draft and rush, and that can be argued, sure, but I would be looking for the most talented ball player with a solid makeup, not the most solid makeup with that taking precedent over the talent. I do know from hearing from enough people to be confident in saying Perry made the entirety of the draft selections and the free agent signings beyond that. No need to speculate anymore. Apparently he was very heavy-handed and the selections were his. So for better or worse, some of these things take time. You got to look at them down the road, 3-4 years, but the guys he selected, most of them have done all right. Nolan Shonowell is up there. Who else could have you selected? The Giants, Eldridge. What is it? Bryce Eldridge?
Yep.
He was taking a few picks after Nolan. We'll see how that ages. You don't know. He was a high school kid. It takes longer to develop. Billy Epler leaned more into high school picks. He also had some of the massive free agent signings that may have been the owner, especially with Rendon. So any GM eventually will be shown the door. What legacy has Perry left? Well, you guys can decide.
What I like about this move is Mo was, he got his start. He's a scouting director at the Cardinals, helped rebuild their farm system, and obviously has a lengthy, extensive experience as a president of baseball operations for the big league clubs. So he's got a full knowledge of every level of the organization. There was we were asked him at the press conference if there's any way he would remain full time, and he kind of left a little crack in the door. So you never know. I can certainly, if he really has a really positive experience here and things are moving in the right direction, I can see him sort of staying on as a baseball consultant. Maybe they bring on a GM and he sticks as president of baseball operations, sort of mirroring the hierarchy of many teams right now, including the Dodgers with Andrew Friedman and Brandon Gomes. We'll see. But as you said, Mark, this is a baseball guy. Not saying Perry wasn't, but I think his background is far more extensive. His experiences and is proven as a winner. I think that's big for the Angels. Sam, we talked about the timing of this move. The next couple of weeks are going to be huge for this team, for this team's immediate and long-term future. What do you think the challenges are for him right now?
I mean, you talked about the draft. I thought is it interesting. I mean, Perry making all the selections. I've heard the same, right? And I heard even just last week at the combine. I mean, Perry's there and doing the interviews and stuff. So ultimately, I think it's good to have Tim McIlvaine, which it sounds like that's going to be the guy who's should have been doing this all along and has the requisite background to do the job well. Assuming he's in position to make strong selections, hopefully hopefully he does. Again, there's so many clues yet that will be uncovered, I think, in the draft and at the trade deadline. Like, are we going to see all the college players taken again, which has almost been a universal strategy for the Angels? I mean, you take very few high school players and usually in strategic late round overslot positions. Like, are they going to do that exact same thing? Because if that's what they do, maybe that was just an already decision ultimately all around. When you get to the trade deadline, are they going to hold on to all these players? I mean, I think we'll find out then what kind of impact Mozeliak actually can have here. So yeah, I mean, he's got some decisions to make, but I think, this has been a few weeks in the making. I would imagine he's done at least some baseline research into what he's getting himself into and the people that he has involved, with his club. And he's got a month now to, trade deadline, I believe, is a little after I think it's August 3rd. So he's got some time. So we'll see. I don't know exactly what he has to do to put himself in good position, but I think we'll find out, how much autonomy he actually has in the next few weeks.
We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more on the shakeup in the Angels front office.
People, dehydration sucks. Quince electrolyte stick packs to the rescue. I order them. I use them all of the time.
Listen, as somebody who may or may not have had some adult beverages in their life, the next day, you know what flavor I like? Watermelon. And I don't like watermelon, I'll go raspberry, and it helps me to get my citrus salt in. But if I do, it helps me to get back to normal, feeling good, and ready to go the next day.
Yep, tough workout or dry mouth in the morning, whatever it is, this is going to help you out. Quince always has the best deals for you. You can go on their website and see a number of products. We're talking about not only a product that tastes great, but has zero sugar options that are also stevia free. Give your body what it really needs to stay hydrated. Go to quince.com/foul for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/FOUL for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/foul. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
And welcome back to Halo Territory with Mark Trumbo, Sam Blum, and Mike DiGiovanna. Well, next question I'm going to ask, I'm not sure I have the answer to, but I think it's definitely worth asking. With the hiring of a proven winner, an established guy in John Mozeliak, do you guys think this is any indication that Artie Moreno, the mercurial owner of the Angels, might actually take a step back and stop meddling in baseball decisions? What do you think, Sam?
I have a hard time believing it. I just, if he does, maybe that's a sign of something else. Maybe that's a sign of, selling. I'm not gonna. I don't want to throw that out there because it's, it's just people, the fan base will take it and run with it. But I don't know. I've been around this too long to think that Artie's going to step away and not necessarily have a huge hand in everything. It's it's not always baseball. It's just everything. I mean, it's like I said yesterday or earlier. What we saw yesterday from Mozeliak was kind of a guy who's didn't really feel like he was concerned about what Artie thought about what he was saying. I mean, he even kind of criticized Artie and said he's too much of a fan, and that's maybe contributed to some of the issues and the inability to make tough decisions. He really kind of said that out loud, and so that was, I think, a very positive thing. But it's I don't know if Mozeliak fully understands the person who's going to be signing his checks, and we'll see. I mean, we will see. But until such time that we get to the trade deadline and you see, like, if Reed Detmers, Jose Soriano, and Joe Adell are all on different teams on August 4th, okay, maybe there's something to that. But there's a lot that kind of remains to be seen. And for right now, I still think this is 100% an Artie operation, and I still think 100% that no matter who's in charge of baseball operations, it will be a slog with Artie as your boss. So we'll see. This is the right person to have. The person you want to have in these positions is someone who could be fired tomorrow and his life would be the exact same. And I think that is a good thing to have. It's not, I mean, Trumbo talked about, passing up on more qualified candidates to hire Perry. I mean, I think that's almost by design to some extent. You hire people that will be desperate to keep that job. Will be desperate to appease you at every turn. And so it's good to have someone that maybe isn't that way. And we'll see how it plays out.
Mark, any gut feeling about this issue?
I'm wondering about the timing. We're here weeks ago. I mean, that's a little bit ambiguous. So I was trying to figure out what happened weeks ago. I mean, one of the things I saw, and it was the first week of June, they lost 2 of 3 to the Rockies and 2 of 3 to the Dodgers. And I was, hypothesizing maybe especially with the Rockies, I think for an owner like Artie, looking at the Rockies who've been, they've been a laughingstock for a long time. And now they're headed in maybe a little bit better direction. Record still isn't there yet, but more talent, different people in charge, seem to be going a different direction. Dick Momford always predicted improvements on his club year after year. didn't know where they were going to come from internally, bounce back something. But he went out and found some different people. And the Angels may feel like may have felt like they were the last ones, that the White Sox thriving, doing quite well, and kind of on an island and don't want to be on that island any longer. One question for either of you, or Mike, how about you? What's the advantage to doing or releasing this kind of press on a Friday? Is there a reason on that?
Well, I think they took that right out of the page of most political, administration's playbook. It's the classic Friday news dump. I don't, a lot of teams like to control the narrative. I hate that phrase. It's such a cliche, but by doing it Friday, what was it, an hour before the game? I think we got the email. They don't have to make those, Molly Jolly or John Mozeliak available that night because we got a game to play in an hour. They have a time to get all their, their stories straight, so to speak, at the press conference the next day. I don't know the timing of it. Sam, maybe you can answer that question a little better. It was definitely a little odd, but at some point you have to make a move. If you're going to make a move, at some point you got to announce it. So maybe they felt this would have the least blowback or whatever you might get in a situation like that. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, I think the strategy. I mean, I hated it. Look at what the Mets did. The Mets fired their manager in the morning, and then they had the, early afternoon. They did the whole thing, and then they played the game, and life went on. And I think that's how you're supposed to do this. I think if the Angels were one. I mean, their line is that they wanted to let the players know in person and not see it on Twitter. I don't really buy that. I think for me, like what they probably were going for, and what makes some sense to me is that you make Friday night about the old, right? Like Perry getting fired. That's kind of the news story at a time when people aren't paying attention to the news late on a Friday night in the middle of June, beautiful evening. Nobody really is paying attention to the Angels. Obviously, the crowd was pretty small, even for a giveaway night. And then you make Saturday about kind of the future. And if you listen to Molly Jolly, I don't think she even said Perry's name. The whole press conference. I mean, she did the introduction, didn't mention Perry once. I asked about Perry. Her answer did not include his name, right? Like it was. I mean, her answers were very canned and prepared, and she almost. It was a little bit. I thought Mozeliak sounded a lot more kind of like he'd been in that position before, which is probably the case. But I mean, she and everyone else clearly wanted to pretend that Perry Minasian was not someone who has ever really existed in this place, and that was I think the strategy. So it was to make Saturday more about the future, and that's why I wrote it was weird, right? Because it was like a pep rally, like and you're sitting here at the time they're 34-49, last place, like. But you got this whole celebration. Everyone's in a suit and dressed up, and they have the whole front office there and all these employees there. And at the end, people are clapping for him. And I'm like, guys, like this isn't some big celebration. Like you're here because of how absolutely terrible you are, right? Like this is the only reason that this is happening as we speak, and on June 27th. So that's how I look at it. But I get the PR strategy behind it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, Molly Jolly, remember, is only a couple months into her position as team president, and she has never really been, the face of the franchise in terms of the front office. So I can understand a little discomfort on her part from being in that press conference. But I will say, kudos to Molly for recognizing the need to change and acknowledging that she might not be the most qualified person to enact that change.
100%.
We have John Mozeliak. It takes... that takes a lot of self-awareness and plenty of humility for an executive in her position to do that. So I'll give her credit for that. Now, we did catch up with some players before and after Saturday's game, and we did talk to Mike Trout, the three-time AL MVP, about all the turmoil or turnover in the front office. Let's hear what Mike had to say.
Mike, just your reaction to the news yesterday with the team heading in another direction with the GM.
Yeah, no, it was, I think we were all shocked by it, especially during the season. But it's a business, and we got a cow going back there.
Goat. Yeah, it did.
Goat. But yeah, no, it's surprise all of us.
You've experienced a lot of turnover with managers, GMs. I mean, how do you kind of deal with this moving forward? You've experienced a lot of it.
Yeah, no. It's just, meet the guy coming in, get to know him, see what he's all about, and I had a chance to meet with him earlier, just for a brief time because he's been running around crazy today, obviously. But I know he's coming from a winning organization with the Cardinals, and I'm excited to sit down with him and talk to him.
Do you have some ideas for him, or was this more just like,
oh no,
can I
just
get to know you?
Yeah, just see what he's thinking, and just get to know him.
Are you optimistic that that they kind of recognize that there maybe needs to be a change, and that there's this, like you said, somebody's coming from a serious organization and won and
yeah,
success?
I mean, for sure, but ultimately it comes down to just myself and all of us in this room playing better. I think that's what it comes down to. We gotta go out there and play better. So but I'm excited to get to know Mo and see what he's all about.
What was your relationship like with Perry?
Yeah, that was good. Like I said, when I'd come to the field, he was always here. Working to try to get a team together to get a winning team. It wasn't, I don't think there was a time where I came to the field where he wasn't here already. So, it's just, it was a decision from the front office and from the top. So.
What have you thought of Molly, just like the leadership she's kind of maybe brought already?
Yeah, no, I love Molly. Got to know her a little bit before all this, but now, her taking over for John, it's been great. I think she's, working with the guys, working with the families, and she definitely has, the interest of, trying to get this club back on track.
One thing that Mo talked about with us was, building a stable organization from the ground up and the minor leagues up, and sometimes that requires patience. Obviously, the goal is to win right now. Just how does it make you feel when you hear something like that?
Yeah, no, I think, the brief conversation I had, with him earlier, just walking through the clubhouse, he was excited, and like I said, I'm really interested to get to know him a little bit and see the vision he has.
Did you swing a bat today?
I did.
How'd it go?
I did. Felt great. Yeah, I think took 30 swings, 15 off the tee, and then 15 off flips, and I ran about 50%. So all good.
Good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take one more quick break, and when we come back, we'll have some final thoughts on the front office shakeup, and then we're going to talk about Kristen Moore's demotion to AAA and Kirby Yates reaching 100 career saves. We'll be right back. Now it's time for Daily Dingers, presented by FanDuel.
Mike, gonna give you one last chance. You got the Mariners coming into town. Ryan Johnson's probably going to be on the hill for the Halos. Who's your pick for Daily Dingers?
Well, I know he has had a very disappointing season compared to his MVP runner-up year last season. But I'm going to go with Cal Raleigh, the big dumper. I know he's coming back from his injury, missed a month. He's only hitting 166 with a 582 OPS, 8 homers, 21 RBIs. I just think he's due. I don't know why. It's just a hunch, but that's what I got for you, Mark.
I like it.
Joining the action is easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. It's just another reason why FanDuel is the home of home runs. Head over to FanDuel.com/foul to get started. That's FanDuel.com/foul to opt in for Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
No purchase necessary, opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome back to Halo Territory with Mark Trumbo, Sam Blum, and Mike DiGiovanna. Well, guys, just thought I'd open up the floor. Any final thoughts on the shakeup in the front office? Sam, anything?
No, I mean, I feel like, we've gone over it. We'll see, it's like I said, it's kind of a wait and see game with everything. I'll be curious, what they do with the people who are currently in the front office, who stays, who goes. I imagine the coaching staff will be significantly different next year. It kind of seems like, Kurt Suzuki's he almost resigned to that. It is weird after they made Kurt talk first about all this, which was weird on Friday night, and he just kind of had no answers about anything. But yeah, I think it's just going to be what does this look like after the season? Are they going to have somebody in place for the lockout? Is Mozeliak going to stick around for beyond this season? There's just so many questions about what's next for this club, but I think it's good that those questions are at least beginning to be answered now, and the process can start now. And if Artie lets it happen, I think they can be in a good position.
Yeah, I will add that Mo made it pretty clear during the press conference that Kurt Suzuki and the coaching staff are safe. Their jobs are safe for the rest of this year. Don't worry about all that stuff. So I guess that's probably provides some comfort, at least in Kurt's mind, that his leash isn't really short. Mark, any final thoughts on the shakeup?
Randy Flores is the guy, the name that I've heard the most from quite a few different people on who makes sense, at least initially, for the next general manager. It's tied to Mo, as we're going to call him. Very accomplished, had a playing background as well. So keep an eye on that. But I assume they'll interview quite a few people for the job. And it'll be interesting if Mo chooses to stay on. I don't know if that's telling or not. When he does decide to either stay or go, it seems like he doesn't want anywhere near the amount of hours that it takes to be a general manager on his dinner plate currently. So hopefully he's able to contribute as much as he can and fit his own schedule, because he's done this a long time and he can has the ability to choose what he's going to do.
Yeah. As far as timeline, Mo said he would probably start seeking permission from teams to interview candidates for the GM job after the trade deadline. Definitely wants to have somebody in place. If I had to guess, either by the end of the season or shortly after the season. But yeah, the possibility of that lockout after December may throw a wrench in those plans, but I think he made it pretty clear that he wants to have a guy on board before his contract runs out, which is in December. Okay, let's turn our attention to Christian Moore. So Sam and I were in the clubhouse. This was Saturday night? No, Friday night. And pretty empty. We were waiting to talk to a guy, and Christian Moore walks into the room. All the reporters are there. He's clearly upset. Makes a comment about how few number of at-bats he got in the big leagues. There might have been some bad words in there. And credit to Joe Adell. He put a lid on that real quick. It's like basically shut him down. So he's clearly upset at being demoted. And we did ask Kurt Suzuki the next day about Christian, and he also talked about the decision in terms of this kid was not playing that much at the big league level. He's still one of your top prospects. It's not doing him any good sitting on the bench 3-4 straight days here. So let's hear what Kurt had to say about that.
Just want to start with the roster move today with Siri being back. What went into the decision to have Christian be optioned?
Yeah, obviously the opportunity to play every day. We just feel like it's not fair to him to come up here and not play every day and get his normal reps, his at bats, and things like that. So that was the main part of the decision.
With Perry departing yesterday, who made the decision yesterday with the options?
Me, Dave, and John. We talked about it, and we felt like this was the best decision going forward.
What was the balance between having him up here to get some more experience, but also the challenge of not having him play every single day?
Yeah, that's definitely, I guess that's the question, right? Is the biggest thing is how much they're going to play. You don't want a young guy to come up and sit the bench and not play, and whether it's sit the bench for one day or things like that, you want him to play every day consistently. So we just felt like at this time that wasn't the best option for us here, and we decided to send him down.
Is he still going to play different positions down there, or is he going to stick to one?
Yeah, we're talking about that now, but right now we got him playing some third, second, and left field still. We still have to discuss how we want to move forward position-wise.
How much of his headspace is that? Just because after getting out, it looked like he maybe was a little upset about it when he came in the clubhouse. Where do you kind of feel like he's at mentally?
Right, I think any player, right? I think that's what makes them good is the fire that they have. They're disappointed, obviously, and there's no mystery to that. I mean, every guy would be disappointed, so I don't fault him for that. He's upset. He felt like he should be here, and that's what drives him to be a good player.
How much have you talked?
Oh, Mark, you've probably seen this scene play out in the clubhouses over the years many times. Guys get upset, obviously, when they're sent down. Uh, but can you look at this and think, oh, this is probably an isolated incident? Is this maybe a one-off, or does this kid need a little bit of an attitude adjustment?
I had, well, let's say I'll just talk about my time with the Angels. Those that did something like this, and it did happen a few times. Didn't go too well for him. It was a different regime, different manager, but it wasn't tolerated. And you got to be professional. And I do wonder the motivations for more. I understand being upset. Who was he upset at? I guess the manager, the front office. His statistics weren't. Yes, he only got 20 at bats. He punched out 11 times. His left field defense left a lot to be desired. He didn't look the part out there. I don't think anyone would say that he looked good by any stretch. He didn't look natural. I don't think it's a great fit for him. So where do you play him? You got a couple options. Second base, I think, makes the most sense, but I don't know if he would reasonably have an argument to say he's outperformed Denzer Guzman, who's been playing excellent defense and contributing with the bat. He hasn't looked overmatched at all. His stats were excellent in Salt Lake, and I guess whose aren't. But it's one of those things that an outburst like that, it's not. It doesn't. It seems very immature. And I wonder if part of it's because he's seen the other first-round picks get rifled up so quick, and he's a first-round pick, and he's playing in AAA. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think, you mentioned Guzman. You also have Peraza and Walton, who are both playing pretty well, who can play second base. And, Wade Meckler in left field. To me, the kid's just not being a realist. Look at the situation. You're a number one pick from a few years ago. You're playing every couple of games, and we're trying to get you acclimated to left field. How do you get acclimated to left field at the big league level when you're only playing left field maybe every fourth or fifth day? That doesn't make any sense. If he's a realist, he's going to look at that and say, I'm better off playing every day at AAA right now. Maybe he's got to get a swing right. Maybe he goes down there and plays left field 4 times a week instead of once or twice a week here. So to me, it's a real sign of immaturity. When I saw that outburst, that's what I thought. Like, this kid has to grow up a little bit. Look at the situation. Mark, you said on the show many times you try to be a really good self-evaluator. To me, this kid's really failing in that department. Sam, what do you think?
I think there's a couple things. One, even sitting in the Angels clubhouse, I noticed they have all these copied. I think it's baseball prospectus. It says the natural, and it's a picture of Connor Griffin. This is a guy who I'm sure it's not an easy position that he's in, right? Christian Moore was taken 1 pick ahead of Connor Griffin. I think, it is it wasn't great. I think that maybe was, you want to handle that better. Obviously Mark's been in these clubhouses, been in these moments, understands kind of the dynamics at play. And I give Joe Adell credit for maybe quashing it before it became something worse, and credit to Joe, because Joe has been in that position himself, probably
many times,
probably more times than we even remember. But yeah, it's tough. He's Christian Moore's dominated the AAA level. How do you develop? The question is, can they really develop him? What do they need to do to get him so he's able to succeed here? I don't disagree with him. It's 20 at bats, but like Mark said, they were not good. They were 20 not very good at bats, and the defense wasn't very good, and they're kind of locked a little bit at some of these positions. So what do you do? It's not an ideal spot, but can you develop him in AAA? Can he become a hitter that cuts down on the swing and miss, that can catch up to a fastball, that can recognize off speed? I don't know. I don't know where the next step is for him, but maybe it starts with a little bit of maturity. But I think for him, he's come across to me as someone that mentally can handle this pressure. I just don't know, what that looks like, and I think this was not a good look for him.
For the record, that was Baseball Digest.
Baseball
Connor
Digest.
Griffin was on the cover of fine magazine I've done some work for. All right, we're going to close the show on a positive note. Kirby Yates Saturday night notched his 100th career save against the Athletics. And I know that may not seem a big deal, An elite closer will rack up 100 saves in 3, maybe 4 seasons. But as Kurt Suzuki said after the game, quote, "It takes a special person to get those last 3 outs of a baseball game." And Yates, who's now 39 in his 12th big league season, has done it at the highest level for 100 times. So to me, that's a pretty solid achievement. And Yates also showed some resilience this year. After recording his 99th save on May 23rd, he suffered a loss, 3 blown saves, or actually it was 3 losses and a blown save. Lost his closer job, came back, and he's had 4 straight scoreless innings and a 3.06 ERA in 20 games for the Angels. Obviously missed some time at the beginning of the year for because of an injury. Mark, has this guy turned into an asset for this bullpen?
I think Kirby is throwing the ball a heck of a lot better. I know that he talked about his lower body strength being not where he wanted it to be early in the year, not allowing him to get into some of the positions that he needs to deliver the pitches in the fashion that has made him successful. So I think he's back in physical shape. And I mean, he's looking, no one can argue that he hasn't looked better. I think this is the version of him that most everyone was looking forward to and counting on. He still has had fantastic numbers against right-handed hitters, and he's, as long as he can limit the damage against lefties, he's going to be a guy that you can count on. He's got the experience, and if the pitches are there too, the Angels are going to be better because of it.
Yeah, as we said, Yates had to wait over a month for his 100th save, and we did catch up on him after the game, and here's what he had to say.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And it's been a little while for you since '99. I mean, how does it feel?
Yeah, that was, it took a while. I think, ultimately it's probably the hardest one I've ever had to get. But I'm glad it's over. It's cool. Glad I got another chance to do it, and I wasn't, so sure I'd get another chance a couple weeks ago, but, finally got one, been throwing the ball well, so, it all worked out. This game has a crazy way of working itself out.
You have been pitching better recently. What do you think kind of has gone into that?
There's some things me and Don were working on, probably trying to get back into the lower half a little bit better. Something clicked, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and it feels like the ball's coming out better. It's staying on, playing a lot more. Splits staying on, playing a lot longer. And I've been getting a lot more swing and misses, so I think, it's finally where the results are kind of showing up is the way I feel like I've been throwing the ball.
You mentioned getting your lower body more. Obviously, beginning of the season, you dealt with that lower body injury.
Yeah.
Just at the beginning of the season, was there any issue maybe trying to find that balance or trying to get back in that lower leg?
Yeah, I mean, my legs weren't very strong. So finally had some time to build up and get conditioned, get, stronger in the weight room. And find those positions that I probably wasn't able to get into earlier. And, it seems like I'm getting into them a little bit more efficiently and, kind of being able to stick the landing and have the ball come out after that, I think is huge. So yeah, I think I like where I'm at right now. We still got a long way to go. For another 3.5, 4 months, whatever it is. But yeah, right now I feel good. I keep it going and just try to keep working on it every day.
You've handled righties pretty well this year. What can you do to combat lefties moving forward, you think?
I mean, I think the lefty thing was, it's really been 2 swings. It's been McNeil and it's been Freddie's homer. There's 2 homers. Other than that, I feel like I like what I've been doing against them. I think those 2 swings kind of inflate the numbers a little bit. I'm getting better at commanding the baseball. I think as I get better at commanding the baseball, those numbers will go back to the way they are.
I think you've had a few games where you've been.
Sam, what do you think? You a little more bullish on Kirby Yates in your bullpen right now?
Sure. I mean, congrats to him. I think Sam Bachman should be closing games. That's, more for the Angels' future, maybe for the, trade deadline, things like that. Yeah, I think Sam Bachman should be the closer. I'm glad he got 100, and I think you're right. Kirby Yates is pitching at, maybe what they were hoping for when they, signed him, I believe, to a $5 million contract. Also would love, pretty cool to see Sammy Natera get his first save on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so he's someone that kind of looks like fill that role too. So I mean, this bullpen is like turned from, one where there were kind of these last legs pitchers who really weren't performing very well to something a lot better. And it's, I think been a part of why they're playing. Not necessarily you get to every single game you have a lead where it feels like it's going to be blown. They still have blown some games. They don't have a ton of saves. They're not a great bullpen, but it's better. And I think Kirby Yates performing better is part of that. But there are some other options there that I think should be getting those ninth inning chances when they're available.
All right. And we will close the show with that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, for listening. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Halo Territory.
If you made it this far, you'll love this next video. Check it out right here. And make sure you subscribe to Halo Territory for more Angels coverage like this multiple times a week.